the Popco Studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Barry Tramel, and we're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. It's time for our We Pick'em. We've got 5 games. We've got some basketball, and a little more basketball. Let's get started with the Thunder. They're making their run through the top of the Eastern Conference out on the East Coast. It starts Wednesday night at 7 as they go to Washington, D.C. Barry, a lot of talk, I'm sure, about Kevin Durant, his return home. Will he return home permanently in a couple years? But let's start with the game. The Wizards are second in the Eastern Conference playing good basketball. Who wins this one?
Well, I think you got to favor the Wizards, but I'm going to take the Thunder. Count me an eternal optimist that the Thunder sort of turned it around. Won 3 in a row, over 500 for the first time all year after beating Miami. I think Kevin Durant will be excited to be back in his hometown of the district. So I think it's a pretty good matchup for the Thunder too, because John Wall gives the Washington an edge in most games, but not against Oklahoma City. And I think the Thunder's got good interior defense, which can counter Gortat and Nene and that crowd. So I sort of like the Thunder in the matchup.
Yeah, I do too. I'm going with the Thunder in this one as well. And yeah, I don't know if you can say that the wins that the Thunder have gotten here in the last couple of days are against great teams. Miami's scuttling, but that was a game where they held off a team with a couple guys that can make plays at the end of the game. We saw them beat down the Magic over the weekend, which is what this Thunder franchise historically has done against teams that aren't very good. So we're finally seeing them really put their heel on the throat of teams that aren't very good. So maybe they've turned a corner. I didn't see that corner getting turned when they came out of that 5-day break and laid a total egg at Houston, but then they came right back, got that big win against the Warriors. I think they're starting to point in the right direction. I think they get the job done Wednesday night in D.C. All right, Barry, what about the Friday night game? They just keep coming, going from second-place Wizards to the first-place Hawks. Thunder at Hawks, 6:30 on Friday night. Who are you taking in this one?
Well, I'm going to take Atlanta for this reason. The Hawks are not going to lose for the rest of the season. They're going to win every game they play. This is an amazing story. They've won, I think it's 23 out of 25 or whatever it is since Thanksgiving. Got zipped to the top of the East, have a 13 or 14 game winning streak. They're just dominating, and they're playing Spurs like basketball. They don't have a superstar. Yeah. They just got a bunch of good players: Kyle Korver, Horford, Millsap, Teague. They just got a bunch of players that play well together and showing no signs of stumble. And here's the other thing: for the first time, maybe since Lou Hudson and Jumpin' Joe Caldwell played for the Hawks, people in Atlanta know they're in the NBA. Fans are coming to the games even. They had a sellout the other night. I think the building will be hopping for Durant and Westbrook coming to town. I think the Hawks continue their domination.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawks in this one as well. But this is to me a really interesting game. Obviously the Wizards is going to be a test, but I think these two games could really give us a true indication. Is the Thunder starting to achieve that level that we thought they could play at before all the injuries? These two teams, we joke about the East not being very good, but the Wizards and the Hawks seem to be legitimate. They are really playing good basketball. The Hawks play defense fantastically. The Wizards aren't too bad either, so Thunder's offense is going to have to play well in both of these games. But, yeah, the Hawks are just playing spectacular, and there's not a real good explanation as to why, except they just play well. They're playing team basketball. Kudos to them. I think it's going to be a tough win for the Thunder on a Friday night in Atlanta. All right, Barry, what about some Saturday college basketball? OSU's men head to Kansas State. It's an early tip, 11 a.m. Who you got in this one?
I'm going to take K-State. I like what OSU's done. Now, they played poorly in Bedlam last Saturday, but Cowboys have impressed me. They're very competitive this year, much better than I thought. But Kansas State is the story of the conference so far, with the worst non-conference record. Then the league race starts. K-State comes to Norman and wins. K-State goes to Ames this week and plays the Cyclones to the buzzer. I like K-State a lot, what they're doing. Bruce Weber's a very good floor coach. He really gets teams prepared. So I think K-State will be a little bit too much for the Cowboys.
I think this is a heck of a game, and it's going to be important for Oklahoma State to get back to what it has done before that Bedlam clunker. They got to play hard. They've got to be tenacious. And if you're going to go to K-State, a place that now that the Cats are winning, you know that people are going to be fired up. That's what happens at Bramlage Coliseum. So they're going to have to go and play that style of ball. But I think they get it done. This is a not terrible matchup for OSU. I think that we saw that earlier in the year. OSU beat K-State on obviously home floor not so long ago. So the matchup is not a bad one. Obviously, K-State playing differently now. Their stars have started to assert themselves, and they weren't necessarily doing that in that Big 12 opener against OSU. But I like the matchup for the Cowboys. I think they get back on the winning track. You got to win some on the road if you're going to get into the NCAA tournament in this league. I think this is one OSU will pick up. All right, Barry, what about the OU men? Suddenly hot Sooners. They go to Baylor on Saturday at 5 o'clock. Who are you taking in this one?
I'll take the Sooners in this one. You know, OU had a dip. They lose at home to K-State, go to West Virginia and get killed. But I think the Sooners are now playing better. So I think Lon Kruger gives them a big edge in the coaching matchup with Scott Drew. I think OU is much better at guard than Baylor is. So I think Sooners can find a way to win in Waco.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Sooners in this one as well. You know, there's been some ups and downs definitely with both OU and OSU, just really kind of inexplicably going away from what worked so well. And OU's dip, as Barry mentioned, you know, not very pretty at all. So if they think they're going to go to Waco and, you know, just easily win, that'll be a recipe for disaster. Anything on the road in this league, to me, with the exception of maybe Texas Tech, is a place you don't want to go in and feel like you're just going to cruise to victory. So OU's got to come out, hit Baylor early, you know, show itself as being the better team, which I think they are. I think the Sooners get the job done, get back on that winning track. All right, let's do one more, and let's go back to the NBA. It's a Sunday matchup, Barry. Thunder, Cavs. KD, LeBron, 2:30 on Sunday afternoon. Who you got in this one?
Well, it's a wild matchup because a lot of people before the season picked the Thunder and the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. And here both in late January, both are just barely over 500, really just sort of struggling to find their feet. Some injury problems have arisen, particularly with the Thunder. Chemistry issues in Cleveland, really adjusting to the new LeBron era. So the Cavaliers have been massively disappointing. And I think the Thunder is showing signs of getting back on track. I'm not sure about Cleveland yet. So I'm going to say the Thunder completes an excellent road trip and gets it done in Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm picking the Thunder in this one as well. Yeah, from the You Think You Got It Bad files comes the Cleveland Cavaliers to give you a little perspective. It has not been a good run so far for the Cavs. All the rosiness that everybody predicted when LeBron went home, when they got Kevin Love, when they teamed up with Kyrie Irving, everything that everybody thought would go so swimmingly has been pretty much disastrous to this point. So I'm not saying the Cavs can't get it together, but it just seems like it's a mess, and it really hasn't shown many signs of gelling just yet. So I do think that the Cavs will be fired up. When they came to Oklahoma City earlier this season, LeBron did not play. I have no reason to believe he won't play on Sunday, so that changes the dynamic a little bit. But I like the Thunder's trajectory at this point a whole lot more than I like the Cavs. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.